Do you know that story? You just let me tell it to you.
I knew your makeup got smudged and there was a little person involved. I didn't know they were dressed as a clown, and I didn't know your nut popped out. So
Okay.
Let's go.
Hi guys, welcome back to Get It To Me Straight, the talk show that answers the age-old question, what? I'm your host, Maddie Morphosis, and joining me on the show today is the multifaceted artist, most known for her appearances on Drag Race Season 3, All Stars 1, All Stars 4, and is the host of Dragged In on Amazon Prime, Manila Luzon.
Yes. That's not my entire resume, but...
No, if we had the whole resume, we'd be here all day, because you've been on a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
An absurd number of things compared to most drag queens.
Well, I mean, being on RuPaul's Drag Race gets you the attention to do other crazy things.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for like one episode and just in the background of like Real Housewives of New York or something like that, you know?
Yeah, just humbly throwing that in there.
I mean, I'm not a Real Housewife, but I will throw a drink in someone's face or flip a table if I have to.
You're a housewife impersonator.
Well, none of them are actually married anyway, so I guess I am overqualified.
Oh, clock that. Yeah, but like going through your resume, a lot of drag queens that get on the show and they're like, I'm going to use this opportunity to perform in a few extra bars than I'm used to. You use that opportunity to get your hand in like every single pot possible. Like you've done like everything. Is there any like avenues you haven't gone down yet that you're wanting to go down?
I haven't been in a feature-length film. Well,
I thought you were.
A studio feature film, independent films. Sure.
You don't count those?
I mean, I do count them, but like, you know, I haven't been in, I don't know. Well, actually, I feel like I have done it all, except for Die. I haven't died yet.
Yeah, coming soon.
Coming soon. Stay tuned.
TBA, we're still working out a date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into the episode, I just want to address the facial hair. This is nothing to do with Related to Manila. I have an event happening this week that I cannot shave for, so that's why. But anyways, with that, we proceed. Okay, now we'll get back in.
I thought you were reading me. Like, damn, like, what, am I having like a Willem up in here? Like, can you see my beard?
No. It has nothing to do with you. But like doing the research for you, I just assumed because of like you do a lot of kind of like campy looks and like big personality, I assumed you were a theater kid. And like I was right in that. You definitely are a theater kid, but you also like had an interest in like so many different like things artistically. Were you like artistic as a kid? Artistic family?
Yeah, I mean, my first love was art. I would have like a stack of college ruled spiral notebooks that I would just draw in. And even my mother and my father would give me like actual like sketch pads, but I felt like those were too like formal, and I just like to like
Too formal.
Yeah, because I just like to draw, and the lines were kind of comforting to me as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like it wasn't. It was just like a little quick doodle. I loved that.
Yeah. It's like the really nice graphite pencils. It didn't fit with your starving artist fantasy you were living.
I felt like it had to be like when my dad gave me my like a sketchbook with like blank pages and that like nice grit on the page for a nice pencil. I thought it was too like it had to be like an actual good piece of work as opposed to just like a little doodle or a cartoon or something like that. But
so you were just like elementary doodler, middle school, high school doodler until one day you discovered theater.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just like right around the time when, you know, like I was like discovering that I was a flaming homosexual as a kid. It actually, I started performing doing Filipino folk dances when I was a kid.
Oh.
So my introduction to performance was, like, because I grew up in Minnesota, and there was a Filipino cultural society that like a bunch of like the Filipino people would meet up and they would teach the kids how to dance traditional Filipino dances. And that's when I learned like, oh, you get to perform in front of people, you get to wear fun costumes. And so that's where my interest for performing started.
Was that something you were kind of like pushed into, like the parents kind of goaded you into, or were like you just
Yeah, we
drawn
didn't have
to
a choice. We were,
Okay.
Every Thursday we would like go and meet up with all the other Filipino kids, and they would teach us the tinikling, which is a dance with
with, like, the
bamboo
sticks. Yeah,
bamboo sticks, and you have to like dance in it.
Yeah,
and try
yeah.
to- So yeah, that was it. And then when I got into high school, you know, I auditioned for like the play.
Like Anything Goes.
Anything. Oh, okay. Do you have the clip? Do you have the VHS clip?
No, I mean, no, we're still tracking that one down. We're still tracking it down.
Okay, well, when I was a junior, I was in a production of Godspell. I had a solo.
Oh.
Yes.
Debut play solo or?
Well, my first role was in Arsenic and Old Lace, which was like the spring play, and I played the dead body.
Oh,
I
classic.
did not get a speaking role, but I was a really, really great corpse. So that's why, like, I guess I have been a dead person before. Never mind, check it out. I check it off. I've done everything on the list. Yeah, Anything Goes was my senior high school musical. Yeah.
So like, how do you go from doodling and like Filipino dances into theater? Like, what got you into that specifically? Because I feel like for a lot of kids, you either grow up being a theater kid or like something kind of pressures you into it.
I think one of my earliest memories of theater was going to see like community theater production of Annie. And I remember as a little kid being like, I want to be one of the little orphans. Why do they gotta be all girls? Like, can't there be a boy orphan?
Why I gotta have parents? That's so fun.
Why do I have to have parents? Yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't know. I think that, I always knew about theater. I always found it interesting. I think a lot of it was just like the costumes and, you know, the make-believe. So.
Yeah. But you're really dabbling in like all kinds of different art mediums, and like I'll put up on the screen like a bunch of little like paintings that you did like in high school and stuff. But like you were like very talented.
Thank you.
I don't know, like I like some of the paintings I saw that you did like in high school and college. There was no one in my school doing stuff like that.
I think that the thing I like about art is the creating process. I really like the process of making it. Once I finish the art, like, sure, you can hang it up or whatever, but I really like making it. I also like that it is something that, you know, I could just do by myself. Because I was a very charismatic kid, kind of, but I was also a very, very to myself. I think probably having to do with, you know, trying to hide who I was, knowing that I was a flaming homosexual crossdresser in the making. So, yeah. I just like to sit in my basement and paint. I love to sit in my bedroom and draw.
Almost like therapeutic.
Yeah. And it's like nice because you get to create something. You get to create your own world.
Yeah. That's what drew you like to drag, because you know at the time starting out, it's like 3 hours of just painting every single time I'm getting ready by myself. Amazing.
Well, it never took me 3 hours, darling. I mean, I do. If I have 3 hours, I might take the 3 hours, but I would finish way before then.
Just a little chapstick and mascara.
I mean, when I started doing drag, it was
a little bit simpler. This is one of the earliest ones I can find.
It's literally the only picture of me that I have actually that's actually made it. Like I was like, okay, this is fine.
You've definitely like purged like a lot of old drag, because I can't find I know it had to start crunchy. Like everyone has to start somewhere, and looking through your pictures, I'm like, this is not a first time. This is like at least a year or two into it, at least.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Oh, that's hilarious. That's a hilarious picture. Yeah, I think it's because like I am a little bit older than most people, so like the earlier pictures of me in drag were on a like disposable camera, the little crank one that you have to go to the 1 hour photo. So I don't think a lot of them survived, especially at least onto like the internet.
Like somewhere in some Kinko's archive or a bunch of Manila drag photos.
There's probably a box in like somewhere in my parents' house that probably has some even earlier pictures of me in drag. But yeah, that's like I think the earliest picture of me in drag that like made the cut.
I was just thinking about it, but something I never even thought about with like early drag photos is like, was there like a worry whenever you had to go develop photos of like, what are the people going to think that developed these photos?
I don't remember feeling that way. I feel like drag is what kind of gave me the confidence to just be gay and to not give a shit. Like my concept is that just make myself look so good that even if some, you know, person that's not into this would look at it and be like, okay, well, she's pretty, so who cares? You know, like I drag is what gave me the confidence to be who I am today. Yeah, like when I first came out of the closet, it was quite traumatizing because I was forced out of the closet. Thank God though, because I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And so when I finally did come out of the closet, I was like, well, I've always liked like drag queens. I loved Priscilla Queen of the Desert. I loved Tu Wong Fu.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if I'm going to be gay, then let me just get dressed up. And that was really what kind of gave me the confidence to like go out and be myself, was being dressed up in drag.
Yeah. You said you were forced out of the closet. Walk us through that story.
I was in high school. I was still dating my high school girlfriend. It was one of those things where she had asked me to prom and I said yes. And then it was like, oh, now they're dating. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to college now. And then we were still kind of dating. And then a few years had gone by and we still hadn't broken up. So she finally figured it out. I mean, I wasn't hiding it that much. I think the most traumatizing thing when I came out of the closet was realizing that I wasn't fooling anyone. I'm not that good of an actor. I'm not that good of a theater kid, I guess. So I think that was, I wasn't ready for it, but it had come out, and then I just had to kind of accept that, which was really difficult because I feel like when you come out, you have to be ready to come out to people, and I didn't really get that to be on my terms. So it was quite hard and difficult for me, and I feel like I didn't come on till I was like 20, so it was long overdue. Like I had known that I was gay, but I had this girlfriend, and I thought that I would just like make it work. So it was difficult. I mean, I figured it out. It was dramatic. I am a drag queen, so it was quite traumatizing, and I was able to transfer those feelings. I funneled it into creating art, which I think was very helpful. So like my senior year of college, I made some of my favorite pieces of art and was like fueled by what I was experiencing at the time. And then I also started doing drag. So it all actually worked out in the long run.
What kind of art were you making? Just like, you do like Jackson Pollock's, just like throwing some paint around? Like what was the art that was being created?
I was doing a lot of self-portraiture. So it was definitely like...
You just hold up in the dorm room, paint yourself?
Well, I wasn't in the dorm room. I would have access to the painting studio.
Okay.
So I would get drunk and then I would sneak into the painting studio in the middle of the night and I would like paint on my oils. It was like my time. I made myself the subject, and it was my time to like kind of figure out who I was, and my art was my therapy. And then when I started doing drag, that also became my artistic expression.
Like if you were to look back at like those paintings, I'm assuming you don't have them anymore.
Oh, they're somewhere.
They're somewhere?
Yeah, they're somewhere. I think in my...
Somewhere in a dusty storage unit, there's a bunch of Kinko's photos of your early drag and a bunch of paintings of you in your blue period.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a blue period, actually.
You had a blue period?
I'm so Picasso. Yeah, I'm always influenced by the greats. That, and I only had blue paint.
Well, it's talking about like the art and everything. You actually went to school for graphic design, and I learned through like doing research on you. You actually designed book covers for Barnes and Noble. So like there's people out there that are probably fans of you that have no idea on their bookshelf behind them is probably some book that you designed the cover of.
Yeah, maybe. When the recent Wicked movie came out, I was reminded that actually there's a leather series at Barnes and Noble, and we had done a book cover for, I think, Wicked and the sequel to Wicked, Son of a Witch. And so we, the design studio that I was working for was commissioned to do that. And so me and my coworker, Rebecca License, shout out, hey Rebecca, we both had designed for that. And I also had done the Chronicles of Narnia. I think we did Jules Verne. We did
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So those are all like really fun. It was really cool because it's like it was a different medium because we had to design it using like metallic foils. So that was kind of cool.
How do you get into something like that? It seems like it's such a very niche career.
You send in an application, girl.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You have to look at whatever the job listings are. Yeah.
I know, I also didn't go to school for graphic design, but I can't even wrap my head around like how I would conceptualize the book covers you were doing.
Well, the thing about
Very
it is that
intense.
like once I got my job at the design firm, it was assigned to us. So like 1 week I would be designing candy package. So like I've done ring pop, baby bottle pop, push pop. I've done packaging for those. I've done the book covers, and we did a lot of licensing style guides. It was such a fun job because every day was different, and I got to draw pictures on the computer for a living.
Did that feel like very rigid though compared to like other art mediums?
I found that like it was, even though I did work in the creative field in an artistic job, I got to use my drag as like my actual personal creative expression.
So it's just like you go to work and you're kind of put in this little box, and then at night you get out of the box and you do
So
that.
and I do that. Well, that was before I was a graphic designer.
It's crazy, even back this far back, you're still doing like the little blonde streaks and stuff like that. Which, granted, that was Cruella de Vil, but because like looking at pictures of you without the streak, they feel cursed. They feel wrong. Like it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like you.
No, it actually doesn't. But I didn't actually
that's-
start doing the blonde streak until I was on Drag Race.
Like that looks like a girl that was like mean in high school.
She was
That's a mean
in
girl.
high school.
Were you mean in high school?
No, I was a closeted homosexual.
No, that's
I was
right.
too worried about people knowing who I was. So
Yeah.
no, I was not.
Well, I mean, as someone that went to like a small conservative town, the closeted homosexuals are sometimes the meanest ones.
Yeah, not me. No, I was an ethnic kid as well. So
Oh, I guess you had too many.
I had too many things going against
Yeah,
me.
too many.
Mhm.
You said earlier that you had multiple girlfriends like in high school, and that you knew from like as a kid, kind of like the underlying notions that you were a flaming homosexual, as you so
Yes.
eloquently put it. When did you start to realize those feelings?
Well, actually, I realized I was gay because I was drawing. Actually,
You're painting Barbra Streisand one day. You're like, wait a minute.
Actually, no, that's actually really hilarious. I remember I wanted a little photo of Barbra Streisand to be in my retainer.
What?
Like you can put little pictures in your retainers. I wanted a picture of Barbra Streisand.
Why Barbara?
Because I love Barbra Streisand.
Okay.
Who doesn't love Barbra Streisand? Barbra Streisand making my teeth stay
I think
straight.
the other straight guys in your high school probably are huge Barbra Streisand fans.
Yeah, they're also not famous drag queens. So
That's true.
there you go. No, I realized, I think I was 13 years old. it was a summer, and I was helping my dad work on the car, and I had like a thing in my mind. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my room. I'm gonna draw like a sexy lady in her underwear. So I drew a sexy lady, and I like had a notebook where I would draw sexy ladies, like very like Jessica Rabbit, very like big tits, small waist, like gorgeous. Not really knowing that like it was just me like drawing drag queens. But then there was a point where I was like, this sexy lady needs a sexy man, and I drew a naked man, and then I was like, and then you'd see like. As the pages went by, just less and less sexy ladies, and it was more sexy men.
It's like the front half of the notebook and the last half of the notebook are two completely
very
different.
It was like my coming out story right there. Yeah, exactly.
Like onto the page.
Yeah. And that's how I describe. Because this is before the internet, guys. Like I could just go on the internet and like go on Pornhub. Like this, like,
Yeah.
I had to draw my nudes.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes. Yeah, that's why like my art is so important to me, because I get to create, my fantasy.
Yeah.
And if that fantasy is some big burly hairy guy with huge, then that's what I'm gonna create.
So like you started to establish and like, know who you were. So why were you putting these other girls in high school like through these relationships?
Because it was.
Was that kind of your last hurrah? You're like, maybe I just need to meet the right one.
Well, I wasn't really actively looking for the girls would come to me. You know, like it wasn't my fault. They're still coming to me. You know,
Yeah.
Hi girls, love ya. Yeah, well, like I was closeted and gay in high school, and so like most of my friends were girls, and then some of the girls caught feelings, and then we kind of started dating for a while. And they were great beards because they were just they were young, beautiful. Each of my girlfriends that I had in high school, I thought they were the most prettiest girls. So I was really lucky because I was like, I couldn't ask for a better beard because like how could I be gay? Like I'm pulling this like beautiful woman.
That's true.
At least that was what I thought I was doing, But in all reality, I was just using them and learning all the tricks and traps of like doing, good cross-dressing.
They were the first dominoes to fall for you.
They were my
your drag career.
They were like they were like my little muses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they have like fun stories to look back on. Be like, oh, you see that famous drag queen? Like that was my boyfriend in high school.
Oh God, I feel.
Do you ever think about that? About how you're somebody's like fun story they tell their kids?
I don't think that my high school girlfriends talk about me like that.
Did you end on bad terms?
Well, one of them outed me, so.
Oh yeah, the same with that one, didn't we?
We kind of don't talk anymore. I don't know. I wonder what they're. If you guys you're not watching this.
You don't know my audience.
You're
this
right.
is wide-reaching.
You're right. I don't know your audience. I don't know your audience. But maybe I don't know. Yeah, I wonder. You
should reconnect, just for old time's sake. You never know. Also,
Possibly.
I feel like you've aged very well too, and not everyone does. So it's always fun to look back and see people that haven't aged as well as you. It makes you feel better.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier, you talked about your forced coming out and like your breakup and how it led you to drag. Was it just like you got outed as gay and immediately just hit the club, or like what was the chain of events?
Well, I got really depressed. I was suicidal in my thoughts.
Oh my
So
God.
I figured it out, but then like my sister and one of our mutual friends from high school, they would always go to the gay 90s in Minneapolis, and they were like, we should go to the drag show. And so I was like, okay, let's go. And that's when I discovered that like this is I loved it. I always loved drag. I love Mrs. Doubtfire. I love Dame Edna. I love Tu Wong Fu. Anything with a drag queen in it or cross-dressing in it, I loved as a kid. Like Maury Povich, whenever he'd have the Was She Born a Man or a Woman, like those were my episodes that I loved to watch. So when I went to the gay club, I wasn't there for the dance floor. I wasn't there to like pick up guys. I was there to watch the drag show. And that was really the thing that like made me excited and hopeful about me being who I was.
Like you weren't there to hook up. You're in the back of the club with opera glasses just
Yes,
for the show.
I had my dollars. I was there to like have fun, watch the show, and tip the queens. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them are my heroes. All the ladies of the femme at the gay 90s, they were my heroes when I was a kid.
Did you ever dabble in drag like way before that? Like before you're coming out?
Yeah, I mean, like I remember my grandmother had like a little grandma wig. I think my mom had like, my first wig was my mom's wig from like the 70s, and it was like it was black, but it was like kind of like a Carol Brady because it had like these little like curls here on the side and had like a little like curls in the back. My favorite wig ever. I wore that until it fell apart. I don't know where I don't remember throwing it away, but it probably just vanished at some point. But like, yeah, I did dabble. Do you have a picture of it? I'm waiting.
No, again, like you flushed the archives.
I sure did. I sure did. No,
somewhere.
it was actually like, it was in high school. It was Halloween. We did a Halloween party, and I had gone to Claire's at the mall, and I bought like a electric blue bob for $20.
Sold a bob at Claire's?
Yes, baby. I mean, I don't know where else to get a wig, but it was like the plasticky
Yeah.
neon blue.
It's like the one that girls wear to brunch, and they all have like different colored
The
ones.
exact one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was my favorite color was blue at the time, so it was like
It's your blue period.
it was my blue period.
Yeah.
I went through my sister's closet and I wore some of her dresses. She was very mad at me when I showed up to the party, and she was like, "That's my dress." But like she wasn't wearing it.
So when did you go from dabbling in drag a little behind the scenes, going to the shows, and then actually performing? Like when did you take that leap?
It was shortly after I started like going to the Gay 90s in Minneapolis. Like they would have the amateur contest. So every week I would like enter the amateur contest.
When did you really start to like create like a name for yourself? Because you should do in the amateur nights. When did you start getting like on cast and start taking it like really seriously?
See, it was
it a slow burn, or
It was. I really honestly did not like. I just did it for fun for the most part, and it wasn't until I auditioned for RuPaul's Drag Race where it actually like became like my thing. Like I just would do it to go to parties. I wouldn't really like. I wasn't working as a drag queen for my main gig because I had my regular job. I did it just mostly for fun.
Yeah.
So
when you get on Drag Race, drag was almost more like a hobby for you at that time, like an artistic expression, but wasn't like your job.
No, but it was something I loved, and it's something that I was good at, and I loved making my own costumes, and that's what I think, like in those early days of Drag Race, a lot of it was like going in there and like make your costumes. Especially, I loved making. Well, I didn't have any money, so like I was making my stuff with safety pinning it together, hot gluing it, like finding things from the dollar store, and making dresses out of like ramen noodle wrappers. But so I didn't really do drag until like professionally until it was Drag Race.
Before you got on Drag Race, the season prior, your partner at the time, Zahara Davenport, had been on a previous season. Drag Race at that time, was it as lucrative and profitable? Like, so when you auditioned for Drag Race, did it seem like I'm going to double our income, or was it just kind of I also want to try that opportunity?
It was a fun opportunity because like before I wasn't really working as a drag queen. I wasn't getting that much money, and even like a few $100s to do like a gig somewhere. She was the drag queen in the family. She is the person that really introduced me to more than just what I experienced on my own. Like she came from Texas, so she was like Texas drag. She was a classically trained dancer. She was an amazing performer. Like she could lift her leg like you could lift your arm, So she was quite amazing, and I was like her, I was like her like support. Like I was helping her make her outfits, and if I had time, I would throw myself in drag as well. So I remember she had heard about RuPaul's Drag Race, the audition for season 1, and she auditioned for that. She wasn't cast. And then when season 2 came around, she was like, I already sent an audition. They have my audition tape from last year. And I was like, just do it. Like you're the professional drag queen. Like this is like huge opportunity. I really encouraged her to pursue her drag because like when I had first met Zahara, she was trying to do like the theater route. Like she was auditioning for, theater. And I was like, baby, you could audition all you want, and you could be the chorus boy. Or you could put your energy into being a star, because like she was a star in my eyes. And so when she got on Drag Race, we were so excited. I loved getting her ready for that, and I was so sad that she didn't make it as far as I knew she could have. So her experience after the show, like I got to meet like Pandora and Jujubee and Sonique and what's her name?
RuPaul?
No, Nicole Page Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. I guess it was really exciting to meet all the girls, and I was like, oh, okay, well maybe I'll audition. I was like, if she can do it, and these other queens can do it. Let me try. So
Yeah.
I made my audition tape.
But at the time, though, with it being like the early seasons of Drag Race, obviously we know now like what the opportunities are after the fact. Were those same opportunities present the first few seasons?
Oh, absolutely not. No, like no one gave a shit about the. I don't think people gave a shit about the. First of all, it was on Logo TV. Like you had to pay extra money to get the extended cable network channels. Like to even watch Drag Race, and there was only. Like I'm not sure. Like it was a very different time back then. A lot of the gay clubs did not actually, they weren't set up for shows. Like it was just dancing or like DJs. And then the clubs that were actual drag clubs, like they didn't need us because they had their own local queens who were packing the houses anyway, and they could pay them their regular rates. Why would they spend so much money on these drag queens from the TV show when they had their own, So, like, I remember after being on season 3, coming off the show and thinking like, oh, I'll get to work for about a year before I have to go back to my graphic design job, But I guess like after season 3, it just kind of like, it just started building an audience. And, once season 4 came out and I was still working, I was like, well, I guess this is now my job, and it's still, and it hasn't ended yet, so it's been like 15-16 years now, so it's like crazy.
You're riding that into the ground.
I mean, the thing about it is that like I have every intention of like pivoting and doing something else. I have talents and other things that I can make money at, but like right now, like I'm still being able to work as a drag queen. I'm very blessed that it's still working out for me,
When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor but you pushed it off? Made the excuse of, I'm too busy, or it'll heal on its own, or I don't know which doctor to go to. I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can just feel so daunting. But thanks to ZOCDOC, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. ZOCDOC is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty. From mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical needs you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. Appointments made through ZOCDOC also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. This is a really great service for me because growing up, I never really went to the doctor that much. And at the age of 30, I just got on health insurance. And so needless to say, I've been scouting around for all kinds of different like doctors, like dentists and eye doctors. And it's really confusing how everything works. And just trying to find a doctor that takes my insurance for all these different appointments has been a game changer by using ZOCDOC. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZOCDOC.com/straight to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZOCDOC.com/STRAIGHT. ZOCDOC.com/straight.
Wasn't it Sahara that actually gave you the idea to start putting the streak in your hair? Were you doing that prior to Drag Race at all?
No, it's so crazy because I remember I actually literally stole that idea from Sahara. She wanted to. She was like,
she didn't give you the idea. You stole the idea.
I full on stole it from her. Well, I mean, she came up with the idea. She just never actually put the blonde streak into her wigs. She had this idea of putting. I actually remember gluing blonde tracks into this little bus driver wig for her. And she wore that. I think there's like on the season 2 promos, they got to do 2 looks for that, and one of them she has like this like short bus driver with a blonde patch in the front.
It's like a rough draft of Manila, that little wig.
Yeah, I will say that Sahara Davenport was the version. The first edition of who I am now.
Whenever you were doing that on the show, did you realize that this is going to be like my forever brand now?
Well, I will attribute the fact that I had I had experience in design and marketing and packaging and branding. So when I had gone onto the show, like you see this picture of me with the black hair, I used to switch between black hair because I felt very womana when I wear black hair, and then blonde because I feel like blonde is just like every drag queen wants to be blonde. So when I went onto Drag Race, I was like, let me wear my black wigs and my blonde wigs. But what I had done was I had my boy hair. I actually had a blonde streak in my boy hair because I thought like there's going to be a lot of drag queens that people have to like look at, and I wanted myself to stand out, and I wanted people to look at me even in my boy interviews and be like, oh, that's the one. He either wears blonde hair or black hair. And then on season 3 we had this break in the middle of filming. I don't know if you know that, but like there's like we finished filming episode 2, and then production came and it's like, we have to stop. And we were like, this is like right after the Mimi I'm First sugar daddy like a fight with Shangela, and we thought that they had stopped production because of that. I don't know. No one knows. We speculate that it had to have been RuPaul, because like I can't imagine them stopping it for anyone else. Like,
Right.
Yeah, the only reason why they would stop production it would be because like RuPaul needed to stop. I don't know if she had a health issue or if she just she saw the dailies and she's like, maybe I need to get like snatched.
I told you I was a Weekend at Bernie's situation. Early in the interview, I told you.
Yeah, they needed to like Death Becomes Her spray paint her again. Yeah, so they sent us back for like a month before they brought us back. So I had a wig made that had a streak in it. It's because, and then I went back and then I wore that. And so that was, it was intentional. And then that kind of became my signature.
Yeah. But as we say, like the show really took off. Like shortly after your season, around season 4, it really started to gain traction. So you didn't even know how popular of a brand that was going to become. Like it's been really like solidified. Like of all the queens, there's been like somewhere over 2 million drag queens that have been on Drag Race now. But I think you're the one that's synonymous. Even now, like I'm literally just bought this cheap little hair off Amazon. In the thumbnail, even with the Layla McQueen facial hair, they're still going to clock that it's Manila I'm going to be interviewing because of the blonde streak.
Well, okay. Also, at the time, like Lady Gaga was doing like a black and blonde like story with her hair as well. So it was very like of the time. I just never stopped. Lady Gaga has since like moved on to different wigs, and I'm still wearing the same ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to like guess off the top of your head, how many black wigs with a blonde streak do you have? Ballpark figure.
Maybe like 200.
Like 200? What the fuck?
Yeah, probably like 200.
How many variations can you come up with? That's so many wigs.
I love the blonde streak in it because like I would say like when I wear just like black hair, I feel very woman, and like I feel like the blonde just like, adds that like that over the top drag to it. So I really like having the streak. It's very graphic. So like whenever you want to like do a little caricature or a cartoon, or when my fans want to do like fan art, it's like it doesn't matter if it looks like me, as long as it has a blonde streak, it's Manila. And I think that's been really really good at like people recognizing me even after all these years.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is that like that was the thing on Drag Race that I had originally thought like every episode the drag queen looks different, especially in those early episodes when there's all these drag queens, and that you put a blonde wig on, you put a red wig on, you put a green wig on. Like
there wasn't a whole lot of branding going on the first few seasons.
Well, yeah. So now the queens come in with their catchphrases on their T-shirts and tattooed on their foreheads. So like. They've learned. They've learned that you got to have a gimmick.
That's not a gimmick. That's who I am.
Oh, sure.
That's my being.
Sure. Okay. You can have a gimmick.
My sexuality is not a brand. It's not a gimmick. It's a
not?
lifestyle.
Oh, okay. I guess so, but it does set you apart and makes you unique, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't got cast without it.
And so you lean into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, this is like the only time I ever lean into it because it's funny. I only ever lean into it if it's funny to me. It's like when I dress up as Guy Fieri. Like, it's camp.
Oh, yeah. I love the camp of drag.
Like, if I go to a show and there's like introducing to the stage the straight drag queen. I'm like, oh, gross. But if it's like something like this, I'm like, oh, it's funny. Give it to me straight. It's a talk show.
Do they not introduce you as the straight drag queen?
They'll do, yeah. Every now and then they'll say something like, oh, the straight drag queen. I was like, that's gross. Stop. It's weird.
I
don't
guess
know.
so.
I don't like it.
No?
I don't know. It'd be like if you're about to go on stage and they're like, welcome to the stage, the queen you all love with the black hair and the blonde streak. It's like, just say, I don't know why.
That's actually...
They can see that. They might know that.
Introduced. That's the
Oh, is
card
it?
I give them. They're
Yeah.
like, how would you like to be introduced?
Could you read this out, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half Filipino drag queen with the blonde streak in her hair.
Yeah. They're like, which one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly with an alcohol problem. Yeah.
Well, you're a drag queen, though. You're in the field for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, what I love about drag is it's like one of the only careers where you're encouraged to drink on the job.
Yeah. You don't have a drinking problem. You got it
No.
figured out.
Yeah. It's part of my gig.
Yeah. Speaking of drinking problem, what happened this night?
Oh my god.
What's the story here? This is the before photo, right?
Oh my god. Do you have the after photo?
I don't know. Another one of the ones you purged. Do you know? Were you there that night?
Okay. Oh, I love this look. This is the time where I had grown my hair out. Like that's my actual hair. I had been growing it out because I wanted to be able to snatch my hair into a ponytail. Oh my god, I look absolutely stunning. And I had found this child's kimono covered with like origami cranes. And
Child's kimono.
I have origami cranes in my hair, which were hot glued to little bobby pins. Yeah, that was a party called Mother in New York City. It was at the Roxy. And how do you know this story?
I did my research.
Oh, okay. So I was feeling good. Like we did the pregame, so I got to the club, and
You tell by the squint in the eye that you pre-gamed. Those are drunk eyes.
that's an Asian eye.
No,
What are you talking
that's
about?
not.
That is my Asian kimono look, honey.
No, one's more closed than the other. That's a drunk eye.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the pictures after this is what I think this is probably still like in my apartment building, or maybe like when I first got to the club. This is taken on a disposable camera, by the way.
One survived.
Well, actually two, because I would always get the doubles. You know,
Okay.
you gotta have a copy.
Of course.
Yeah, I remember I messed up my makeup, and I remember looking at all the pictures after I had got them developed. You know, from at the Walgreens 1 hour photo. And I was devastated because I had clown makeup all over my face, like white here, red, and blue. There was a little person that was sitting on top of the bar. He was dressed like a clown. And like I walked up to him and I started making out with him. You know, I don't know. It was partly, I think, my way of like budging in line to get to the front of the bar. But also like, why not?
It's like there's easier ways to get a drink.
There are. But at that time, I was feeling a little frisky. So yeah, that one started with me making out with a clown little person that's sitting on top of the bar. I got his makeup all over me, so all the pictures, that's probably why you only see this picture, because all the other pictures, I have white on my forehead and my nose is red.
It looks like someone shoved your face in a cake.
It was, he didn't have makeup on his ass.
Wait.
Yeah, and I remember getting really drunk, because I remember at that point, like, I remember there was a guy that he was flirting with me really heavily towards the end of the night, and he was trying to get me to go home back to his hotel with his girlfriend. And
this is while you're covered in like clown makeup?
Yes. Yes. And I do remember him like reaching into my skirt, and I remember him, he's like, "Is this your nut?" my ball had popped out. And he's like reaching down there and he's like, "Is that your nut?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I like kind of like had to pop it back, yeah. And I think I would have gone home with him, but I do remember like I was leaving the club, I opened the doors and it was daylight out. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm not doing the walk of shame into the hotel room. So
you're standing outside in front of the bar. It's the middle of the day. It's 11 a.m. You have clown makeup smudged on your face and one nut popped out of your child's kimono.
And in my child's kimono, trying to go home with a man that in my head, it was Liev Schreiber, but I was drunk, so it could have just been a regular dude. But I like to think it was Liev Schreiber.
Right.
I was young, I was in my 20s. It was, you know, like I loved, like the motherfucker parties in New York City. that were put on by Michael T. They were always themed too, and me and my friends would always get dressed up, and because they were on holidays, I would spend all month like coming up with my outfits, and I would also dress up my roommates and all my friends, and we would all kind of coordinate, and we would go to the parties together.
Oh, back when drag was fun. Now it's just a job.
Now it's just a job.
Now it's just a
my
job.
nut still does pop out occasionally,
Yeah,
and
for old time's sake.
yes, and I still do make out with some clowns.
Also
Yeah.
for old time's sake.
Did you know that story? Or you just let me tell it to you.
It was like half and half. I knew like some rough outlines, but you definitely filled in more details than I was aware of.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was a fun night.
I knew your makeup got smudged and there was a little person involved. I didn't know they were dressed as a clown, and I didn't know your nut popped out. So thank
Okay.
you. You know, everyone has such an interesting history. You know, like what details have not been fleshed out? You know?
Well, a lot of them I forgot because
Yeah.
of my heavy drinking. Yeah. Or just selective memory loss.
Right.
Yeah. But that one was always fun, because I do remember seeing this little handsome man dressed like a clown. Because I think the theme was circus. My outfit wasn't circus, but I think it was like a circus theme. I wonder what he's up to these days.
Well, shifting gears entirely, which I don't know how to segue away from this topic, so we're just gonna hard pivot. I want to talk to you about your the pad dress that you did, the one that was not cut, but the one that you were told not to do on Drag Race. At the time, you were told not to wear it on Drag Race, and you posted it online. At the time you posted it, it was the most liked photo by a Drag Race queen. Obviously, the fan base had a very different reception to it than the production of Drag Race. What was it like for you on set when you were told that you couldn't wear it that day?
Well, I had kind of figured that it would be a little controversial. It was definitely the look I wanted to wear. But that was the one outfit on All Stars 4 that I had a backup for, which is the dress that I wore, which was also quite lovely. It was.
Were you expecting them to possibly not let you wear it?
Yeah, kind of. My problem is that I asked. And I knew better to ask. I should have just done it and then asked for forgiveness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was told by production that it was that I should wear my other one instead. And then I had gotten some harsh critiques from some of the judges, and then I had wanted to explain that I had like a way cooler concept for my other dress that I was told that I couldn't wear. So I really thought that the idea and the concept of the Maxi Pad Dress was something that was going to do what drag is supposed to do, and it's supposed to like push your ideas and your thoughts on what is glamorous or what is normal or what is like tantalizing or scandalous. Having been on Drag Race a few times before this point, like knew that I have so many female fans out there, and especially young women who are not quite comfortable with themselves or their bodies, and who have society telling them that their natural body process is gross. And I wanted to make a statement that celebrated something that's quite normal. Like me, like I knew as a kid, like when I was taught about this, like this happens to my mother, this happens to my sister, this is something that's very normal, and I wanted to glamorize it. And I wanted to, make a statement that made my audience, it's something that half of my audience can relate to, and present it in a glamorous way. Like this wasn't like me with like blood splatter. Like it was designed, it was rhinestoned, it was something very beautiful, simple design, but something that I knew would be a little bit, push a little bit of buttons. I didn't know that it would be so scandalous.
I mean, obviously, like I said, like with the numbers on it, it's still one of the most liked photos of a Drag Race queen. Do you think it would have been received the same had it aired on like syndicated television?
Well, that's what I was hoping, and that's why I was a little disappointed, because I thought, because of the response I got from it afterwards, and still to this day, I thought that it would have been a great addition to the show. Like when you go on as a drag queen onto RuPaul's Drag Race, yeah, you're showing off yourself, but I come in there as like I'm just one gear in this machine, you know, like I'm adding my views to the whole project. And so I did feel like, you know, they weren't ready for it. But I think that you know, production is run by men. So I don't think there was enough people there, women in charge, that were like, oh yeah, this is like totally cool, let's try it. And I think that they missed out on a really great opportunity to show off something. So they make dick jokes, ass jokes, shit jokes, piss jokes every season. So like, how is menstruation any different? You know?
Yeah.
But I will say, like, of all the outfits, like it's probably the most famous Drag Race outfit that's never actually been on Drag Race.
Yeah, I think it's a fair.
You know, so like a lot of us we spend a lot of money and energy, and we create looks for the show, and that's the only time people get to see it. And I have a look that lives outside of Drag Race.
Yeah.
And it's quite famous, and I'm very proud of that look. And I stand by the message.
Yeah. But leaving Drag Race, you eventually go on to host your own drag television series, The Drag Den, which is on Amazon Prime. You hosted 2 seasons of that so far. With that show, at the time that you had been asked to be a part of that, Drag Race Philippines is not something that was out there, had started, or even been talked about. Did you feel like almost slighted whenever you started airing The Drag Den, or started filming The Drag Den, and then they put out Drag Race Philippines right before you were supposed to air?
I mean, a little bit. I was a little bit. I was a little bit hurt that, because when we announced that it was coming, the very next day, it was Drag Race Philippines was announced, and
You think that was coincidence, or you think that
no, it was definitely on purpose, because like in a way it really fast tracked Drag Race Philippines, which I had been championing for a very, very long time, because like it had always been spoken about, like, oh, we should do a Drag Race Philippines. The drag scene in the Philippines is amazing. So, you know, like I'm not really involved with the planning. That was still like in the earlier days. Like we didn't know they were doing like foreign franchises. So when I got the opportunity to do my own show in the Philippines, I was really excited. And I felt a little bad that, you know, we had some competition. You know, but it really like lit a fire under my ass, because it was like, okay, well, you know, it just makes me have to like work a little bit harder. And, you know, I don't have like a whole, you know, like multiple seasons and a huge, like I don't have like the whole fan base of Drag Race behind me. So it was definitely a challenge, and I took that challenge, and it was great. And then I had to like step back and think like, okay, well, in all reality, like what did I want when I agreed to do this? What I wanted was to give a platform for drag queens in the Philippines, because whenever I would go to the Philippines, I would be amazed at like what these queens were doing. Like they were performing their asses off for like all night, doing multiple shows, full on production numbers. They were like sleeping in the clubs so that they could perform the next night. Like I knew that this was going to be a chance for not only for queens to come onto like my show, but like having like multiple drag queen TV shows in the Philippines was actually great. Because like even in the States there was only Drag Race, or I guess Dragula, I guess.
Yeah.
So like for us to start with 2 shows it just doubled the platforms for the queens, and yeah, it's great that we have 2 shows now.
Yeah. Whenever I was talking with Nikki Doll, she became the host of Drag Race France, but as a French American, she was kind of worried that she wouldn't be French enough for the show. With you being Filipino American, did you ever have worries that you wouldn't be Filipino enough for that audience, being like the host?
Yes and no. Leading up to it, I had a tutor every like two times a week. I would meet up with the tutor and I would learn Tagalog so I could be a little bit more fluent. I'm still not fluent in Tagalog, but yeah, I had a feeling that I wasn't going to be Filipino enough. However, what I've noticed is that Filipinos are very, very proud of anyone, even if you're like Bruno Mars, like, oh, he's a 1/8 Filipino, and Filipinos, we claim him, you know. So I didn't have that problem. I think that a lot of people that they had watched me on Drag Race already, the fans of me in the Philippines were just excited that I was getting to do this. And then the thing is that I knew that I was going to bring in an international audience, because I have fans all over the world, and they're going to see what I'm doing. And this project would allow my fans from around the world to also see the drag in the Philippines. And so like they're seeing it because of me, and so like their version of drag is going to be from an outsider's perspective. So I was comfortable hosting and judging the show because I was learning along with everyone else. And I'm so happy that I was able to present this platform for these queens and their artistry of drag to teach me and the audience that is watching that isn't in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little different for me. So I'm really, 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 really grateful for the fans that were letting me. I mean, I feel really bad when I like mispronounce my Tagalog, but I get told all the time that they think it's really cute.
Like the French audience, they're like, oh, Nikki's not even French enough for this show. But the Filipino audience is like, she tried to say it. She tried to say the word.
Yes, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much to my Filipino audience for letting me butcher the language and not knowing nearly enough about my Filipino culture. But I think that they all know how much I love my Filipino heritage. And this is a way of me connecting even more with my Filipino heritage and my gay and drag Filipino heritage.
At the time of recording this, they haven't announced new seasons or haven't announced any cancellations or anything. So Dragged In Season 3? Question mark?
Yes, it's in development. Our creator Rod Singh is pitching new ideas. She wants to. The creator Rod Singh, direct Rod Singh. She's a trans woman. This is her baby. I'm very grateful that she's entrusting me to host the show and do it. So she has all these ideas. She likes to switch things up, so she's pitching a new concept for season 3. So we'll see if
Teams
maybe. I don't know.
Dragula did.
She was she had some concepts which I was like, okay, girl, like, sure. I'm not quite sure at this point. I'm really excited to see what's next for our show. And yeah, it's exciting. But you know, like in the meantime, you know, I'm gonna work everywhere else.
Yeah, so hopefully stay tuned for that. Hopefully you have a lot more other projects coming soon. New music, maybe. What does the future hold? What any more mediums to explore back into sculpture?
Well, I've done music. I love performing, even if I'm not a great performer. Like, I'm not coming out here and dancing and doing the splits, and I'm also not singing like Celine Dion. But that's not stopping me.
I feel like you've been very confident about a lot of stuff. Like, you know what you're good at, and then you're just like, I'm not a good performer.
I really am not. Like, the thing is that like I was dating Sahar Davenport, who I viewed as like one of the best performers ever, and I always thought like, well, I guess I'm gonna walk in the circle. Oh, maybe I'll do a figure 8.
Maybe if you hadn't had, spent time around her and her drag, then maybe you would have a higher opinion of your own.
Well, the thing is that like, I mean, I go cross-eyed. That's my jump split. That's my death drop. Is me going cross-eyed.
Not all the split girlies can make their eyes do that.
Damn straight.
Yeah, it's like making your nose wiggle or doing bird noises. Wait, when'd you learn you could do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway. Okay.
I mean, you just try.
Yeah.
Like one day you're like, can I suck my own? Oh, I guess I can't. All right, then moving on to the next thing. Maybe I can make bird noises.
And you did.
It all works out in the end, darling.
All right. On that note, that's the last bit of time we have and the last of my cards. But before you go, I did want to give you something, a little callback to a little baby Manila.
Oh, God.
Something I thought you would like, just to thank you for your time and for coming in today. I wanted to get you a model train. Because you were a big lover of trains when you were little, weren't you?
Oh my God, I love trains. I love trains, especially model trains. I
feel like the model trains doesn't really fit the vibe of everything else about you. Why was it about trains that you love so much?
I just think trains are cool, but I also love miniature things. I love models.
Well, we know because you made out with the little person at that party.
And my husband is only this tall also, so. I love trains. I used to have a model train set when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember me and my father made it together. We made a little cave or tunnel that it went through out of plaster of Paris. I don't know. I just love trains. Where was I? I was in some country and there was the world's biggest model train museum, and I was like, we're going to that. God, where was
I thought you were going to say the world's biggest model train. I was like, it's just like a regular train. This doesn't work.
Oh my God. No, I have I love things that are fake that are trying to be real.
That's drag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love little train sets, and wow, this is really cool. I'm gonna oh my gosh.
It doesn't have the mountains and little towns and stuff.
I
but
will
it
make that out of old piles
piles
of drag. Don't worry, girl. This is sickening. I'm gonna send you pictures of me playing with this.
If you go to Manila's house, you're gonna find 200 black wigs with blonde streaks and a little train going in between them.
Yeah, it's I've always been one of my dreams to have a house where a train runs around the top of the
yeah.
and then goes through a tunnel into the next room.
Well, hopefully with this you'll be one step closer
Well,
to that
I
train.
am. I'm going to start installing this into. My husband's going to be really upset when I start drilling into the walls to make this, but oh my God.
I think it might make noise, so I apologize. It's like whenever your sister has a kid and you buy noisy gifts because it's someone else's child. So, it's not my problem, but I apologize nonetheless.
Well, it says it's battery operated. There's smoke, and we love to smoke. It's got lights and a voice. So I wonder what it says.
A voice.
Probably all aboard, maybe.
Yeah,
choo choo.
Just yells choo choo.
Oh, this is so cute.
So outside of playing with your new train set, where can people find you? Do you have anything coming up that you can announce? Anything you want to talk about? Any projects, shows, tours?
Well, I'm always touring, so I guess go to my website, manilaluzon.com, and find out. I probably should update it though. I don't know. Well, this week is the last episode of Drag House Rules on Out TV. Me, Jujubee, Laganja, Stranja, Rakam Sakura, Bitch Puddin', and Silky Nutmeg Ganache, and I. Wait, is there someone else I'm missing? And Tammy Brown. Oh yeah, and Tammy Brown. Oh my God, bless her soul. She's crazy. Teleport her to Mars. We're all doing this show on Out TV called Drag House Rules. It's the finale this week, so go check that out. Maybe I'll win this time. No, I was already sent home in episode 4. So
Spoilers.
spoiler alert. Go check that out, and then I will. Of course, I'm continuing to tour around. Mama's got to pay the bills, so let me mouth the words to other people's songs and collect dollar bills.
Yeah, as you should. She's not talented and she's not a good performer, but she'll come to your city.
I'll come to your city and I'll take dollar bills out of your hands.
Yeah.
So see me there. I'll be like this. I even spray a little perfume on my hands.
Oh.
So that when I grab the dollar, I smell good.
Yeah, a little waft.
A little waft of perfume.
Yeah, if you can't entertain their visual senses, entertain their nasal passages or something.
Sahara told me, that a drag queen should be smelled before she's seen. So she used to drench herself. I think it's also to cover up the smell of dirty tights. But,
Yeah. I was going to say, I know a lot of drag queens that can be smelled before they can be seen, but it's not a good thing.
well, like I like to smell good. I like to buy expensive perfumes at the duty free. Every time I go to the airport, I'm buying another perfume. So
You're not like most girls. You shower daily.
well, I used to tell I used to like tell my assistant when I was touring, like, to smell my tights. Tell me, he had a very sensitive nose,
God.
so I would tell him, put your nose in my bag and tell me if it smells.
Just rubbing his nose in it like a bad dog.
That's what he got paid extra for that. I gotta make sure
gosh.
I don't smell.
You know, there's people that would sniff your tights for free.
Oh yeah, that's another way of making money. Go subscribe.
Anyway, well, that's where you can find her. Check the website for tour dates and where you can buy her used tights. And you guys can find me right here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any future guests. And join us next time whenever we have somebody else.
Somebody else, and I want my dress back, by the way. You can keep the mustache.
You have too many of these pineapple dresses. You don't need any more.
Yeah, you're right, but I could always use another one, you know.
Anyway, bye, guys.
Let's go.
Wait.